Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. A very pleasant morning to the respected judges, my friends and teachers who are present and watching me today. The first thing I would like to say is thank you for having me. My name is Ardea from Jati Agung Senior High School, and I'm truly honored for having the opportunity to deliver a speech on what is important, grades or learning. Ladies and gentlemen, when you think of school, you probably think of grades. What is the difference between grades and learning? Actually, there is a difference between the grade received in the course and the amount of learning that took place in the course. For example, if there was a quiz or a chapter, students would focus on studying what they thought would be on the quiz, rather than learning the material and the chapter. Are grades more important than learning? Nowadays, behind those perfect marks and grades, there can often lie occasion of cheating. Teachers consider cheating a result of laziness, which can often be an accurate assumption. But it is the only reason. When students cheat on exams, it's because our school systems values grades more than students value learning. Stated nail degree season and suggest a greater cause. Educated individuals like Thomas Jefferson, René Descartes, William Shakespeare, Galileo, and Plato were never given grades. Grades representation of how well you can learn a lot of material in any way possible, often in a short amount of time. To me, this represents my study habits, my ability to stay on track of my workload, my note-taking, and frankly, just how well I study. Typically, grades represents of your performance in a program or course. So why do schools focus on grades? They are a shorthand measure of how a student performing in school. But too often, the pressure to earn good grades becomes the sole focus for students and parents. Grades are supposed to be a recognition of the learning process a student went through, not the product a student strives for exclusively. What do you think? Does grades represent learning? Grades are not the purpose of learning. Learning happens all of the time when no grades are given. However, grades are the measure used in the game of education. From a very young age, we are told the importance of getting good grades. Especially in high school, we are told time and time again that our grades affect what college we will get into. While grades are extremely important, people often forget about the importance of learning, not just getting good grades. Ideally, grades are a measure of how broadly and deeply you have mastered the objective in the course. Objectives are the things you are supposed to learn, and every reasonable course is built upon them. The real world of grading is a bit different. Grades are like points scored in a game. They are a measure of how well you have scored, but not always a measure of your efforts and learning. Isn't it frustrating to study hard, work hard, think you know what you are doing, and then perform poorly on a test? So, If we think of learning as a game, your grades are points scored. In your mind, keep it that simple. Ladies and gentlemen, grades are a form of evaluation. Ideally, you'll always be evaluated based on your efforts and results. However, we live in a world where judgment and bias is part of humans evaluating things. Educational knowledge is important because it stays with you forever. There are a few ways to think about this, and they are all extremely valuable. The most obvious, I think, is the fact that if you learn a lot in your class, you will be very well prepared in your next class in the same subject. The material you learn gets carried over and built upon. And how well you actually know the material, regardless of your grades, will help you with the new material. So if you got a 19%, but it was because there was a really smart person in your group project, or you got lucky on the multiple choice, these grades will not help you going forward if you do not really know the material. Grades act as a key to get in the door for opportunities. And they continue to act as that, whether you learn the material or not. As long as you receive a certain percentage, that is good enough to be accepted to whatever your next step is. But once you are through the door, you must rely on your knowledge. I think a good way to summarize things is as follows: grades and educational knowledge are of equal importance, but at different times and for different things. Grades are short-term important, while knowledge is long-term important. Grades matters at certain times and are essential to making a bigger steps in our academic path. Knowledge matters consistently through time and help us to get good grades. But knowledge is also an authentic reflection of your genuine learning. I think that's all my speech. I do apologize if there are mistakes in my speaking. Thank you very much for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.